Well, we're in Matthew chapter 9, so I want to talk about faith now. Here's another example of this go-giver principle. There's so many stories in the Gospels, but I'm just going to pick this one about these two blind men here. They come to Jesus. They want to be healed from their blindness. Let's read verse 27 and then the first part of verse 29. When Jesus departed from there, two blind men followed him, crying out and saying, "Son of David, have mercy on us." And when he came into the house, the blind men came to him. Let's stop right there. So, the source in the story, who's the source in the story? Who's going to heal these guys, if it's possible, right? So the source is Jesus, okay? Now, what's the sacrifice that we have to come along to here? The sacrifice, well, it was pretty obvious because in verse 27 it says these blind men, they're crying out, saying, "Jesus, have mercy on us," right? And in verse 28, Jesus said to them after they came to the source, "Do you believe," well, let's finish reading here. "Do you believe that I am able to do this?" And so what's the sacrifice here? This is the issue that's going on. And these blind men, you have to understand that they were looked at as cursed of God. That's why you're blind, because you're being punished for something bad you did. They're really looked down in society. They're kind of a pariah. They're ridiculed. They're mocked. They're ostracized. And so these blind men are calling out to Jesus, and I can imagine the people around are like, "Be quiet, stop bugging them," right? In fact, that's what they did with blind Bartimaeus, if you remember that story over in Mark chapter 10. That's what they did. They said, "Be quiet, Bart. Shut up. Stop bugging them," right? They're put down. And so the sacrifice is that these guys had to be willing to face ridicule. And then Jesus also said, "Do you believe that I am able to do this?" Let's keep reading. They said to him, "Yes, Lord." Verse 29. Then he touched their eyes, saying, "According to your faith, let it be to you." And their eyes were opened. Their eyes were opened. According to your faith, be it to you. You see, if you put in only a little bit of faith, Jesus said that's how it's going to be according to you. If you put in a lot of faith, he said that's how it's going to be according to you. Please understand that this day that these two blind men were healed, they weren't the only people that needed healing. They might not have been the only blind people there. There were a lot of other people with needs. But they were the two that were willing to cry out. They were the two that were willing to be embarrassed. They were the two that were willing to pay the price. Those two people were willing to make the commitment. They exercised their faith. And Jesus says, "As your faith be it to you." And they received their sight. It's according to your faith. And in the Gospels, I'm continually impressed with the amount of times that Jesus not only mentions faith, but the amount of times he talks about the amount of faith, the